So, different sources, just reading more, and yeah, pretty much just looking around. Also, it seems there's some links in regards of, well, but it talks about some of the symbols that the Roman Catholic Church has. So is said to go back to Mithra as well. Now, of course, all these things wouldn't really be a surprise, seeing how the Roman insane asylum institution have worked down to the history and all that. So, but yeah, I guess I need to do more research on that. Let's see here. Where did we go from last time? Shall we see, just 45 minutes ago, 57 minutes ago. Okay, I think we took this one, regards of yeah, I think I read that. Suffer from a series of problems, I think. Now this might actually be some of the new information I put forward. One side that I read, yep. Well, don't expect it. Oh, come on. I guess we could take it from the top, but see if I actually have. Oops, I'm pushing the wrong things here. Of the cock rider. Oh, apparently it says okay. Let's go back. No, not twice. Huh. Yeah, okay. So let's just take this. However, the cult was vigorously opposed by Christians, polemicists, especially by Justin and Tertullian, because of perceived similarities between it and early Christianity. And with the anti-pagan decrees of the Christian Emperor Theodosius during the final decade of the 4th century, Mithraism disappeared from the history of religions as a viable religious practice. So let's see, next one. From the 4th century, Mithraism suffered from a series of problems. In 377, Gradian ordered the closing of Mithraea, and Theodosius I in 394 declared the persecution of all non-Christian cults. That would be in regards of non-Roman Catholic cults, right? Not non-Christian, because of course the Christians was persecuted as well, by the Roman whole. But anyway, Roman persecution against paganism was very severe under Christian intolerance. That's Roman Catholicism. According to the slightly exaggerated testimony of the rector Claudius Mamertinus, people hardly dared to watch the sun rise or set, and farmers and sailors neglected to study the heavens for weather signs or guidance stars. Also, the letter which Jerome, the translator of the Vulgate, wrote to a Christian woman illustrates how heavy persecution was conducted during the late 4th century. Anyway, and I write here, Mithraism might have died out, but paganism was still growing strong by Roman Catholicism that seemed to have swallowed it up or obliterated it. The very masterpiece of the devil leading into the Dark Age with the Antichrist as the head. Anyway, next one. Mithraism finally fell into its demise within several decades. Because of its exclusiveness and lack of eternal organization, Mithraism was thoroughly and rapidly eradicated after the decree. There was so little information about Mithraism that Bishop Ambrose of Milan in 374 to 97 even mistakenly thought that Mithras was a goddess. And this is the same source and all that. So this seems to suggest that in the late part of the 4th century, Mithraism had already suffered a grandiose blow. And probably, as far as I would think, that the people in regards of Mithra had turned to Roman Catholicism. They had, become Roman Catholics. And the last bit of things that didn't want to turn and be part of the devil's Roman Catholic, deception, pretty much was destroyed. That's how Roman Catholicism pretty much works. If you can't take it over, you destroy it. Anyway, persecuted and so forth. Anyway, so conclusion. Mithraism is a mystery cult which emerged in the 1st century, flourished from the 2nd and the 3rd century, and demised in the 4th century. So this is a conclusion. Yet it seems to have had the biggest blow in the 4th century. And again, we see Constantine being the head of the religion of sun worship, the pagan sun worship in regards to Sol Invictus, might have something to do with that, leading his fellow sun worshippers to become Roman Catholics, and yet still actually, still being pagans. But anyway, the god Mithra is depicted as a young, beardless man, symbolizing his omnipotence. He is a god of justice, covenant, and often represents himself as the sun god, the Sun god. Sol Invictus. Oh, Sol Invictus. There we go with the link again. Mithra, Sol Invictus. Mithra, Sol Invictus. Anyway, although its origin is not clearly proven, there are some relationships with the ancient religions in Asia Minor, such as Zoroastrianism. Mithraism first appealed merchants and soldiers, and finally spread to all the classes after Roman emperor's implementation of Mithraism. In the 2nd and the 3rd century, Mithraism competed with Christianity, which was imported from Asia Minor. At first, Mithraism prospered greatly over Christianity, but it could receive designation as a state religion. After the 4th century, with the destruction of the Mithraic temples, along with the loss of the empire's territory, Mithraism started to decline. Again, they say after the 4th century, but it seems like in the 4th century, there was already, and it does go against what he actually writes up here, that, and demised in the 4th century, right? So he says it demised in the 4th century, and then he goes on to actually say after the 4th century. But it seems like more likely that, you see a great demise in the 4th century because a lot of things is going on, and taking all the puzzle pieces that seems to be leading in that direction. And again, the Roman Catholics beginning to promote Christ-Mass, which goes back to the festival of Mithra in regards of his birth. So in the 2nd and 3rd century, Mithraism competed with Christianity, which was imported from Asia Minor. At first, Mithraism prospered greatly over Christianity, but it could receive designation as a state religion. After the 4th century, with the destruction of Mithraic temples, along with the loss of empire's territory, Mithraism started to decline again. I think that happened in the 4th century already. But anyway, maybe he's saying after the 3rd century, with destruction of the, I don't know, maybe, any case. Finally, it completely lost the basis after a series of recognitions of Christianity, and that would have been in the 4th century. So again, the guy that writes that might have put, after the 3rd century. I think what maybe have been more, maybe he made a mistake there, It would make more sense, it seems, to me. He says that it's demised in the 4th century, and then he says, but, after the 4th century. I think it should be after the 3rd century, with the destruction of the Mithraic temples, along with the loss of the empire's territory. I don't know, but Mithraism started to decline. We see these different degrees, and that's in the 4th century, not in the Anyway, finally, it completely lost the basis after a series of recognitions of Christianity, well, Roman Catholicism. First by Constantine, that would be in the 4th century, and last by Theodosius, I think that was also in the 4th century. Although Mithraism lost in competition with Christianity, it greatly influenced to Christian symbolism Roman Catholicism. We're talking, every time you see Christian, it's Roman Catholicism. You have to be aware, you have to be able to discern when people are talking about Christianity, because a lot of people believe that Roman Catholicism is Christianity, and it's not. It's the pagan mystery religion of Rome. She was already there from the very beginning. She just took on sheep clothing, okay? Anyway, so it greatly influenced to so-called Christian symbolism, which were finally decided in the Nicene Council. So here we have the Nicene Council, that's 325 AD. As a result, many Mithraic symbolisms survived through several thousand years and still remain in the present. And actually that makes totally sense if they actually took on symbols of the Mithra religion and also the festival of the sunbirth and maybe other things and all that, that would have made it easier for those people believing in Mithra to come over to, and become part of the Roman Catholic religion. They would just be doing pretty much a lot of the same things, but with new names. Now, of course, it's not totally the same, but, it's paganism, using paganism to lure, pagans inside that are not Christians and all that. Anyway, again, Satan is very, 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 very sneaky. The deceptions are very, very clever and shrewd and very slick. So these are from the same source and all that. And there was something I thought about that also made sense in regards to the puzzle piece, but I forgot it now. In regards of, I guess it will come up again maybe. So here we have, from the 4th century, Mithraism suffered from a... No, we already read that, didn't we? Yeah. Okay. There was something in regards of... What was it I was thinking on? Let's just see if I can remember it again. Let's see. In the 2nd and 3rd century, Mithraism competed with Christianity, which was imported from Asia Minor. At first, Mithraism prospered greatly over Christianity, but it could receive designation as a state religion. So as I understand it, it's a pagan religion, so no problem with Rome, right? After the 4th century, and again I think it's after the 3rd century, with destruction of the Mithraic temples, I think that happened in the 4th century. There's a decree from one of them to destroy. But anyway, along with the laws, so that would be, after the 3rd century, not after the 4th century. Along with the laws of the empire's territory, Mithraism started to decline. I don't know if Rome lost territory in the 4th century, but anyway, Mithraism started to decline. Finally, it completely lost the basis of a series of recognitions of Christianity. I think these recognitions is like rules or decrees. But anyway, first by Constantine and last by Theodosius. And also we see, I think it's Constantine that changed the Sabbath to Sunday as well. Why would he change the Sabbath to Sunday if that was... I've seen 2 degrees of Roman degrees doing this. So we are not Judaizing and so forth. We shouldn't be like the Jews and all that bullshit and all that. Well, if it was Constantine, if my memory serves me, and I might be wrong, and I think that was, again, I've seen 2 degrees, I think, if I remember correctly, Roman decrees on this. But the thing is, if the Mithra religion put Sunday at a pedestal that they were keeping to Sunday because it's the venerated day of the sun god, Sol Invictus, as we also see in the decree as well that is given, well, if that is, from the Sabbath to Sunday, and that's one of the reasons we have so much information in regards of the Sabbath. We do know when the 7th day of the week is. We have so much material in regards to when, they changed it and so forward. And anyway, and we know Sunday is the venerated day of the sun god. So if the believers in Mithra are keeping Sunday, and well, what would you then do? Well, you would try to incorporate Sunday into Roman Catholicism, right? Because then the believers in Mithra can see, oh, they're just celebrating on the same day, right? The day of the sun, right? In regards to the day of the sun god, Sol Invictus and all that, Mithra and all that, no problem. Okay, and if you change, they make the Jesus birth on the 25th December, as the birth of Mithra is on the 25th. Oh, they're just doing the same thing we actually do. So can you see what is going on? That it's make it so much easier for the sun worshippers, in a pagan religion, to be part of Roman Catholicism. And not only that, apparently it seems like that some of the symbols that is from paganism enters the Roman Catholic Church as well, according to this. And I've seen 3 sources as of yet where they talk about it, at least 3 sources, I think, where they talk about the symbols, some of the symbols. I'm trying to figure out which symbols it would be that enters the, but it says, so we have symbols of Mithraism, we have the weekly Sunday of Mithraism, we have the sunbirth of Mithraism. That's a good amount of material. And then, of course, then it's, as far as I can gather, the people of Mithraism is now coming into the Roman Catholic Church. And you have to remember that you have the head of this religion of Sol Invictus, which is just Mithra, as far as I can gather. You have him as the head of Roman Catholicism. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's the Pontifex Maximus. He is still the high pagan priest of the sun, of the literal, of the dead sun, of Mithra. Anyway, you really have this English thing in regards to sun and sun, it's really bad. Yeah, it's really, 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 really bad in regards to the English, that you really should try to figure another word for sun and sun, So you have some differences. Maybe you should call it soul instead. Soul in regards of the sun, and sun, just sun. So you take the S-U-N and just make it soul. At least I know it's pretty much, I guess it goes back to Latin, but at least you would have some, you will have some variations from, soul and sun. Then you would know sun is the son of God and not sun on the sky, right? So you would say, oh, the soul, soul. That sounds, it can sound pretty good English, like soul. So he was, the worshipper of the soul. Yeah, I don't know if that would work out, but in Denmark we actually also call it soul. So we have the different variation. We have soul, and we have in Danish dialect is sol, and then we have a søn. So you can see that's a good amount of difference in the 2 words. Sol or søn. Sol, søn, sol, søn, sol, søn. In English, you just have son, right? It's just, anyway. So I think it might be a good idea to figure something out, but so you don't get into these, things, because then you need to listen to the context of it. So soul would be the thing that is on the sky, and the sun would be in the sun. Right, then there wouldn't be any problems in regards of understanding. So although Mithraism lost in competition with Christianity, it greatly influenced to Christian symbolism, which were finally decided in the Nicene Council. And who headed the Nicene Council? Well, the pagan high priest of soul, of the soul, in regards to the sun god, As a result, many Mithraic symbolisms survive through several thousand years and still remain in the present. So it's like, oh, many Mithraic symbolism survived, and I was like, what could that be? And I've looked a little into it. I still need to. I have found one source that talks about some of the things that might come from, but I have to look more into it. It does seem a little weird. It talks about some of the caps, the Phrygian cap, which is the tiara worn by the Pope, cardinals and bishops. Oh, it's the thing that also the Jews have this weird thing, I guess, must be. I don't know. I have to check it out. I have to. The cap is still known as Mithra, which alludes to Mithra, the deity. Okay, so that's some interesting. I haven't looked further into it but it's not. Roman Catholicism is just paganism, and it's just you see down through history how this system works, and it's diabolically. It's nothing to do with Christianity. It makes it out to be Christian, but it's not. So let's see here. So here we go again. It's pagan bullshit. So that's at least 3 pointers that seems to be, a change. We have the change of Saturday to Sunday. We have the festival of Mithra on the 25th December, becoming Christ-Mass. So yeah, it's just incredible. It's just so wicked, and we see it being promoted, like John Chrysostom is beginning to promote it, and of course he's attacking the real festivals of Jehovah, so that we see the devil works as usual, attacking the festivals found in the written word of God, and attacking those and attacking the Judaizers, and then Romanizing instead, and promoting Roman tradition, fulfilling prophecy as, written in the Bible. Anyway, Mithra came to the front in the 3rd century. There was a true moral element in the worship of Mithra, the all-seeing, the author and protector of life. The all-seeing, Okay. Mithra, the purifier, the giver of immortality. A great Catholic church, and Catholic also means universal. A great, the Roman universal church is very, very universal. One might, Anyway, a great Catholic church of Mithra overspread the lands from Persia to Britain, especially along the great rivers where the legions lay. It had regular and irregular clergy, ascetics and mendicant friars, and diverse orders of faithful men. It had regular divine service 3 times daily, and a yearly round of festivals, culminating, that's like the pinnacle, right? The culminating, no, we can't, because Facebook is stupid, as usually, but let's just, culminating, that would be like, the pinnacle, culminating, let's see, culmination, a final climatic stage, the festival of the year. What is Christ-Mass? Is that the festival of the year? Is it? It does seem so, doesn't it? It's like the big thing in the year where the world goes nuts for paganism and then call it Christian. It's just incredible. Hangs up demonic gnomes and Satan claws and, all these bullshit things. And anyway, one of the arguments from this guy that said, but the Christmas tree is not related to this and that. This is a pine tree, and, in regards of Odin was another tree and all that. Listen, pagan traditions have a way of evolving. They have a way of, going from one nation to another nation and then taking some other characteristics from and all. It's just a pile of bullshit, all of it, and it just mixes together and takes different, so just because it was, the argument, I just, if you can't see there's any paganism in Christ-Mass, I think you're utterly blind. I think you're totally blind, totally either you are totally blind or you are totally a liar and a deceiver. I don't know which one, but yeah. If you're not deceived, you are a liar. If you're deceived by the devil to think that this has nothing to do with paganism, that's one thing. Another thing is to know it and then promote, and say no, it's not, and this and that. I don't know. I know there's a lot of wolves in sheep clothing, and apparently some people just don't have any problem serving the devil. I don't know why, but that's apparently they apparently just love to do that. I don't know. It's just sad. Anyway, it had regular and irregular clergy, ascetics, and mendicant friars, and diverse orders of faithful men. It had regular divine service 3 times daily, and a yearly round of festivals, culminating in the birthday of Mithra. And when would that be? Oh, December the 25. Another source that says 25. Okay. With meetings for worship and processions of noisy votarius. Noisy votarius, I have no idea what votarius would be. Votarius. Votar. I don't know. Votari. I don't know. Maybe. Votarius. Loudly noisy votaries. I'm not sure. Let's try to. Let's see here. So do we want anything to do with Roman Catholicism? Absolutely not. Here, apparently it's votary. So it's loudly, one bound by vows to they were on, I don't know, votarius is it in regards to vows, taking vows, noisy vows? I don't know. But anyway. So, this is from Early Church History to AD 313, second edition. Macmillan, 1912, original from the University of Michigan, and so forth. So it actually goes to 300. That was actually probably be pretty interesting book to read, maybe. Again, early and so much I want to know. There's so much I want to know in regards of what really was going on in history and all that. And I'm hungry for it. But I would have liked to see what was, maybe he has made a book continual in regards to the 300 to 400, because there seems to be a lot of things going on in that century. But anyway, here we have another one. I think that might be a little of the same that I already, but this another quotation from the same source. The Catholic Encyclopedia reported Helios, and I think Helios in Greek is actually in regards of sun as well. Helios. Let's see, Helios. Greek mythology, ancient god of the sun. Helios. So in Latin it's Sol, I think that's the sun, and apparently in Greek it seems to be Helios or I don't know. But anyway, ancient god of the sun drove his chariot across the sky each day, identified with Roman Sol. And that's the same story you get in regards to Mithra, if I remember correctly. So again, you see the parallels, there's just different names. And one of the encyclopedias that I was on had a huge amount of information in regards of Mithraism, in regards of what they believed, and that Mithra goes along the sky and at the beginning of the day or something like that. So that wouldn't be a surprise. Anyway, so again, absolutely see you see verification of these parallels that yeah, Sol Invictus is just Mithra, and Mithra seems to just be Helios, the ancient god of the sun. The soul. So anyway, it's just sun worship. It's soul worship pretty much. It's just it's pagan bullshit. So I wonder where I did have that source. I wonder. I think I quoted from it someplace. Not sure. No, Cockra. No. No. I think no, maybe not. Didn't I quote something from it? I think I quoted something from it. Maybe not. I thought maybe it's the thing that I actually still, maybe the thing I haven't posted on Mithraism, the worship of Mithraism, the worship of Mithra, the Iranian god of the sun. Maybe this is the thing. No, I'm not sure. Do I still have it open? No, apparently can't. Oh, here we go. That's the Encyclopedia Britannica in regards of Mithraism. It has the story of Mithra and all that, and was something in regards of going the sun from the morning and all that bullshit and all that. But yeah, oh, here we have in regards of something in regards of Constantine and all that. Sun. Maybe I should read it, but I'm not really interested in paganism. But of course, I'm interested in the truth and to know things, and it all seems to go together. It all seems to the data points seems to agree with each other, and saying that Christ-Mass have nothing to do with sun worship and all that is bullshit. And again, I think I found enough sources to point in that direction. Already, researching things, because I was a little stirred up by the guy that says that Christ-Mass has nothing to do with paganism, and he's defending all these different things that you find in regards to Christ-Mass, and have to be kidding me. No, apparently not, but that guy is just outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And in regards of in regards of a debate and all that, in regards of him, it's just he would just come out with all these sources that it's just if you can't see there's paganism in Christ-Mass, you need some glasses. You need to open your eyes. Just one example, the gnomes that was worshipped as house gods in the past. You don't see any pagan connection there. Again, either you're deceived, utterly blind, or you are lying and deceiving people. It's one of the other. So let's see here. We read this from the COG writer, and again, the COG writer has a lot of good information. I tend to hit into that site a good amount of times when searching on things as well. He's a wonderful guy. Now again, I still can find some issues. But you can always find issues here and there. There will always be things that you don't totally agree with. So, like for example, the Trinity thing. As far as I can see, he rejects the Trinity doctrine and all that. And as I see it, it's the Trinity with the twist. You have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and you have the children of Jehovah that is now in the Son, who is in the Father, and the Father and the Son is in the Holy Spirit, in the children of God. Anyway, but yeah. It's pretty, Yeshua is explaining it in John 13, 14, 15, 16, and 17, if my memory serves me. So he explains it everything, So, yeah, anyway. So here we go. The Catholic Encyclopedia reported Helios Mithras is one god, ... Sunday was kept holy in honor of Mithra. Again, there we see the connection with Sunday, right? All the Christians are keeping to what? Sunday in regards of Sol Invictus, the venerated day of Sol Invictus. Now, And every single Sunday, right? That's when many of the proclaimed Christians are collecting together, right? So why would they do that when we see in the Bible that it's the Sabbath that our master are keeping? Well, maybe because someone have deceived us, and then we miss the blessing. And yeah, they're promoting all the pagan bullshit. It's just disgusting, because these places should stand for truth, and yet they're promoting lies, and they're deceiving the people. They're part of the problem, pretty much. They are part of the deception. They are, as far as I can see, they are working for Satan. Why would that be? They're leading the people away from the law of God. And they're leading them to the law of Rome. And now they're singing love songs to the Antichrist as well. You have to be kidding me. Every Protestant knew who the Antichrist was, and now they're singing love songs to him from the pulpits. You have to be, it's just, why would anyone accept anyone standing on the pulpit singing love songs to the Antichrist in a church that should be Protestant? Kick him out of the church, If he's the priest, kick him out. Find someone else. This is, if he's a Freemason, kick him out. If he doesn't believe in the Bible, kick him out. Get someone that believes in the scripture and stands on it. It could be a child. Get a child up there that, and read the scriptures, read from the scriptures, whatever. Just get someone that actually believes and don't follow all this pagan bullshit. So the Catholic Encyclopedia reported, Helios Mithras is one god, ... Sunday was kept holy in honor of Mithra, ... And again, I think the quote that I think I might have a quote that is from the same place, but it has slightly, it's a little difference in regards. So it's a lot of the same information, but it didn't have the ... I think it actually had more. But anyway, whatever. Same source, it seems, in regards to the Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 10, published in 1911. So remember that was the same source from the other. But anyway, the 25th December was observed as his birthday, the Natalis Invicti, the rebirth of the winter sun, unconquered by the rigors of the season. ... Anyway, so here we again a witness in regards of the 25th December was his birthday, and again when you see other pagan religions or whatever, and they have sun-related things and all that, you see the same thing going. And why would they maybe have some of the same pagan things and all that? Well, maybe it could go back to Babylon, right? If they already had pagan doctrines at that point, and God is spreading these people into 70 nations at that point, do you think that these traditions that they had at that point could have spread throughout the world, in different nations and all that? So when people are saying it's, when some say it's coming from this and some say it's coming from that and so forward and different things, and it's like, David Wood is saying that's not very credible. But you have to remember that these pagan traditions are, that exchanging pagan traditions and, and even if in regards of Babylon, if they already had traditions at that point, if they seem to already have been fallen away from God, and God is dividing them into 70 nations, it's not so hard to then conclude that they might have some of the same traditions, even if they can't speak to each other anymore. Anyway, so, and then again, these traditions evolving and taking other forms and all that, but yet still being pagan. Anyway, so Helios Mithras is one god, ... Sunday was kept holy in honor of Mithra, ... The 25th December was observed as his birthday, the Natalis Invicti, the rebirth of the winter sun, unconquered by the rigors of the season, So this, of the information that we have, this festival on the 25th December is the pinnacle of celebrations of those worshipping Mithra or Sol Invictus. Do you begin to get the picture here? Do we begin to see a picture after collecting puzzle pieces? Yeah, I think we do. Okay, so in regards of helping the Roman Catholic system to absorb these pagans, what do you want to then? What could you do? Well, you could so-called Christianize their celebration and days of the week and so forward, and some of their what is it called? Some of their things, that what was it? Some of their I lost it. So some of their what was it? Symbols and all that. So you could make it so-called easier for the pagans. And, so the pagans might still be doing what they always done pretty much, But, of course, there's some changes and all that. But overall, and Satan, of course, is happy as long as he keep them in, he wants to be the ruler of the world. And, and the Antichrist is his puppet, pretty much. The Antichrist is the one that has given dominion, power, and rule by the devil. We see that in the book of Revelation. Anyway, here we have another one. Let's see here if you can see what we have here of interesting things. It is easy to It is easy to understand that many of the emperors yielded to the delusion that they could unite all their subjects in the adoration of the one sun God, who combined in himself the Father God of the Christians and the much worshipped Mithras. Thus the empire could be founded anew on unity of religion, Roman Catholicism being universal, Anyway, thus the empire could be founded anew on unity of religion. Even Constantine, as will be shown farther on, for a time cherished this mistaken belief. It was especially in the western part of the empire that the veneration of Mithras predominated. Would it not be possible to gather all the different nationalities around his altars? Could not Sol Deus Invictus, that would be Son and God and the Unconquerable. So I've seen it actually Deus Sol Invictus, but apparently here is Sol Deus Invictus. I don't know enough Latin to know in regards to the grammar and all that. But anyway, not Sol Deus, it's usually Sol Invictus, and I've seen it's like Deus Sol Invictus. But anyway, they use Sol, that would be Son, Deus, God. Invictus would be, unconquerable, to whom even Constantine dedicated his coins for a long time. Oh, I thought Constantine had become a Christian. Why is he dedicating coins for Sol Invictus, which is Mithra? Anyway, what is he saying? Or Sol Mithras Deus Invictus. What is he saying? In regards to Son, Mithras, God, unconquerable. That's in regards to Mithra. Mithra, Sol Invictus is Mithra. Sol Mithras Deus Invictus, venerated by Diocletian and Galerius, become the supreme god of the empire? ? Constantine may have pondered over this. Yeah, wolves in sheep clothing, right? They are very shrewd and very clever, and anyway, nor had he absolutely rejected the thought, even after, some believe that Constantine was the real first pope of the Roman Catholic religion. Of course, that would in some sense make sense, because there we see the in some sense the amalgamation totally forming, but still ongoing in regards of giving absolute power to the Antichrist, but but it's already beginning in the first century. And of course, the Roman mystery religion has already been there before, long, from the very conception, it seems, or very close to the conception of the Roman Empire itself. It seems we already have the whore in play. But the whore just takes on sheep clothing and then persecutes the saints and, tells the people in the world that, oh, she's Christian. You shall know the tree from its fruit, right? And it's rotten. It's rotten fruit. The tree is rotten to the core. That's Roman Catholicism. Know the tree by its fruits. And the fruits are rotten, rotten, rotten. Anyway, so it's a rotten tree. Anyway, Yeshua was warning us about. He knew these things, He was God. He knew the beginning from the end. He knew what, He's warning us, his disciples, about these things. He's warning us about wolves in sheep clothing. That's the whole, he's not warning us about stinking clear wolves like Muhammad, He's clearly a false prophet. There's no, there's no way a Mohammedan should be able to deceive a Christian. Now, of course, there's probably someone that falls into it, but, it should be so easy to discount Muhammad as it's just, he's a false prophet. He doesn't even believe in the Son of God. Already there, that's enough to proclaim him a false prophet. He doesn't believe in the execution. That Yeshua was slain for the sins of the world. Well, that's number 2. Strike 2. Of course, they don't believe in the resurrection of Yeshua as well. That's strike 3. And of course, they don't believe he's God in the flesh. That's strike 4. Already the first pretty much is he's out. He's out. He doesn't believe that Jesus is the Son of God. That's pretty much, whosoever does not have the Son doesn't have the Father either. Something like that. That's in 1 John, I think, or something like that. So, already we know that Muhammad was led by, was not led by the Spirit of truth, but the Spirit of error. Anyway, so that's not a problem. What Yeshua was warning us about was wolves in sheep clothing. Someone that makes themselves out to be something they are not. But people that are deceivers, that are not really Christians, yet they proclaim themselves Christians. That's what Yeshua is warning us about. Anyway, so even Constantine, as will be shown farther on for a time, cherished this mistaken belief. It was especially in the western part of the empire that the veneration of Mithras predominated. Would it not be possible to gather all the different nationalities around his altars? Could not Sol Deus Invictus, to whom even Constantine dedicated his coins for a long time, or Sol Mithras Deus Invictus, venerated by Diocletian and Galerius, become the supreme god of the empire? Question mark. So Constantine may have pondered over this, nor had he absolutely rejected the thought even after a miraculous event had strongly influenced him in favor of the God of the Christians. ... So let's see what it says. As Pontifex Maximus. What was it again? Yeah, he was the high pagan priest of Sol Invictus. Do you understand what he was? He was a pagan. He was the high pagan priest of this Sun religion in regards of Sol religion. Okay? That was the high pagan priest. And now he's leading, the Christians apparently, in regards of fixing a council and so forward. And yeah. And, we have this, we have so many, anyway. It wouldn't be a surprise if these symbols are actually fixed at the Council of Nicaea, if you see symbols of Mithra getting incorporated. And of course, we have Sunday being, I've seen the decree of that we shouldn't Judaize, and I've had other sources talking about that, that Constantine was against, the Judaizing thing and all that. So, and Yeshua was a Jew, wasn't he not? And actually, Christians seem to also have been called Jews, and they were also just perceived as Jews by the Romans, as far as I understand it, in the beginning. But we see in the New Testament, the Jews seems to be also talked about those that believe in Yeshua. But anyway, and I guess in some sense, if Yeshua is a Jew and he's God, and we are reborn by the Spirit. Well, I guess in some way we, Jews, right? And we have John the Baptist that says, that God can make sons of Abraham out of the stones, right? So anyway, I don't know. It's just thinking out of the box, I guess, or whatever. So Constantine dedicated his coins for a long time, or soul. Mithras Deus Invictus, venerated by Diocletian and Galerius, become the supreme god. Could become the supreme god of the empire. See, I took it out of context here. Would it not be possible to gather all the different nationalities around his altars? Could not Sol Deus Invictus, to whom even Constantine dedicated his coins for a long time, or Sol Mithras Deus Invictus, venerated by Diocletian and Galerius, become the supreme god of the empire? Question mark. Couldn't this happen? Constantine may have pondered over this, nor had he absolutely rejected the thought, even after a miraculous event has strongly influenced him in favor of the God of the Christians. ... As Pontifex Maximus, again, who is the Pontifex Maximus today? Do you know? If I say that if you find the Pontifex Maximus in the world, you have found the Antichrist. Does it help you in the direction of where to find him? Let me try again. If you know where the Roman Emperor is, you have found the Antichrist. If you know where the Roman King is, if you know where the Roman Caesar is today, you have found the Antichrist. Okay? So who's the Pontifex Maximus today? It's the Roman King. It's the so-called Pope. I call him the Pope. I think it's much more fitting. But anyway, who calls himself what? Holy Father. What did Yeshua say? There's only one Father, and he's in the heavens and so forth. Don't call anyone on earth Father, right? So, but what does Roman Catholicism do? Father my this, Father my that, and Father whatever. Even go so far to say, Holy Father. Well, he's the unholy faker. That's what he is. Anyway, as Pontifex Maximus, he watched over the heathen worship and protected its rights. ... It is true that the believers in Mithras also observe Sunday as well as Christ-Mass. Oh, really? In regards of the sunbirth of Mithra, in regards of the 25th of December. Consequently, Constantine speaks not of the day of the Lord, but of the everlasting day of the Son. Yep, there you go. There you have the, as some perceive, the first pope of the Roman Catholic Church, But we see it already in some sense beginning in the 1st century. You have the darnel being sown in the 1st century. After the good eatable wheat has been sown. So as Yeshua said, they would grow up together, right? So this is from Herbermann, Charles, and George Group, Constantine the Great, The Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 4, Nihil Obstate Remi Lafort, Censor Imprimatur, John M. Faley, Archbishop of New York, Robert Appleton Company, 1908. But so it's actually just directly from the mouth of the beast, pretty much. But people say, no, it's nothing to do with paganism. It's all about Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, really? But don't come around with the with the festivals of Jehovah, right? Just it's Judaizing and you lose your salvation and all the rest of the bullshit things people have a way of saying. So, yeah. So this was pretty much what I've had been looking, some more sources. And taking all the pieces together and all that, it's, things begins to, make sense, but I would like to see more information on it. Now, of course, that's why I'm looking at the moment. But in the other essence is that I don't really care about it in some sense. I do care about it, but I don't care about it. Of course, I care about the truth. And when people are trying to say no, it's not pagan or whatever and all that, just looking into some more foundation on that, history and so forward and all that. But overall, the thing that I care about is in regards to the Bible, and we should turn around to the Bible, because all these pagan things, we can know all the, we can research these things for probably our whole life in regards of history and all that. But it's the Bible. We can just go to the Bible and see what the Bible says, and then we have the source for what we are to do, right? And the instructions in regards to the festivals and all that. So yeah. But I have this book as well up. It says I guess he goes into defending it. He talks about Paulus now here. And of course, everybody that talks about Paulus seems to, let's see, it's something in regards to the Roman Catholic Church. We have in regards of carnival as well. The church now considers the carnival as a pagan celebration. The carnival was a Persian festivity intended to honor a deity known as Baal. This is so-called Saint Paul, Jesus Christ, and Christianity from this book. Page doesn't really say page any place. No page. It's actually in regards of Catholicism, in regards of 312. Let's see what it's. Maybe we should go a little back. As stated earlier, Catholicism is based on countless lies. Oh, that seems to be pretty good. Starting out pretty good. Can't really say anything against that. It is. So let's take that again. As stated earlier, Catholicism is based on countless lies. Amen to that. Amen to that. The Catholic Church itself is nothing but a big lie. Amen. Myth that became very powerful and dominated the world under the protection of Emperor Constantine I, the so-called Great. This all began in the year 314 AD. Many Jewish traditions were integrated without modifications into the Catholic liturgy. For instance, Catholics adopted the traditions dealing with Lent, which represent the 40-year period in which the Jews were lost in the desert during Exodus. Lent was subsequently associated with the carnival celebrations that ended on Shrove Tuesday, when Jews held a licentious festival. I have no idea, but as I understand it, the 40 days could also be other connection points and all that. But again, you can find a lot of connections points of different things. But the thing is, those 40 days is not found in the Bible. It's 50. In the Bible, it says 50. You count to 50. You don't count to 40. You count to 50, okay? So all these things, whatever it is and in whatever, direction you can take these, and, some say this and some say that, and might actually all be in some sense true in regards of pagan, but it's all bullshit, It's just all bullshit. It's pagan bullshit. And what you do is go back to the Bible and read the instructions in the Bible. And you will figure out it's 50 days in regards of counting to the festival of weeks. And Easter is not found in the Bible either. It's Passover. Now, Easter is celebrated close to Passover, but it's not Passover. It's not calculated the same way as it's calculated in the Bible. And again, you can go look for yourself in regards to the conflict between Rome and Asia Minor, who kept to the festivals written in the Bible. So, and you have a lot of information on that. I think that's probably the one festival we have most information on in regards of verifying that in Asia Minor they kept the festivals of Jehovah, and we have most information in regards of Passover, because that was the conflict over a long time. We have documents on that. Any case, so this all began in the year 314 AD. Many Jewish traditions were integrated without modification into Catholic liturgy. For instance, Catholic adopted the tradition dealing with the Lent, which represents 40-year period in which the Jews were lost in the desert during Exodus. Now, in regards to the Bible, there are a lot of things in regards of 40, 40, 40 and all that. You have Moses, for example. You have 40 years, and then you have 40 years to the next thing, and 40 years. So he lives 120 years in total, but you have it like 40 years, 40 years, 40. So you have these 40 years put out in the Bible so many places, and I think I have an idea in regards of what it might be pointing to. But I don't know. But we have to count to 50, right? So from the the time of the first fruit and all that, well, 50 days, right? Times if you take times 40, right? I don't know if I'm I could be totally wrong in regards to this. But when we begin to see the festivals of Jehovah, where you have the first fruit, and if that's in regards of starting the time, in regards of Yeshua, in regards of the harvest and so forward, it's the time of the harvest. And that seems to be ongoing as far as I can see. From the first fruit to Shavuot, this is still ongoing in the world. And, as far as I can see. But I might be wrong, but that's something that I've thought about, that maybe that's the idea, that then why would you count to 50, right? Why are we counting to 50 in regards of the festival of weeks? Why are we doing that? Or maybe, in regards of what they were doing in regards of Israel and so forward, well, collecting harvest and so forward. You have the barley, and then you have the wheat, and so anyway, so yeah, I think there's something there. So, but we are called to count to 50. So, but if it's like, for a year, if you have 40 for a year, then you have around 2,000 years, for the next big worldly event. I don't know, just whatever. I might be totally wrong, and so that was just something I thought about, reading the Bible and all that, but I might be totally, wrong in regards to these things. Anyway, so for instance, Catholics adopted the traditions dealing with Lent, which represent the 40-year period in which the Jews were lost in the desert. That we go in regards to the 40 again. You see 40 years in the desert. You see Moses, in regards to 40, 40, 40, and you find it other places. Yeshua is going out to fast 40 days, as well as Moses on the mountain. I think that's 40 days as well. And afterwards he comes down and he sees what they have done, and he ends up going up and fasting another 40 days. So again, there you see the 40 again. So you see 40, the number 40 is many places found in the Bible. Anyway, Lent was subsequently associated with the carnival celebrations that ended on Shrove Tuesday, when Jews held a licentiousness festivity. This has been a custom many centuries back among the peoples of Mesopotamia, The aim was to undergo an emotional preparation in order to be able to endure the penitence imposed by the 40-day Lent period. Hence the reason Lent began after Carnival Tuesday. Again, this is not found in the Bible. You count to 50. Lent is not what is written in the Bible, and you can find other traditions of this Lent thing and all that. And anyway, so the church now considers the carnival as a pagan celebration. The carnival was a Persian festivity intended to honor a deity known as Baal. That would be, one of the false gods. Anyway, this festival was characterized by a lack of control and moral, as well as by a bacchanalian state of licentiousness. The ugly king of the carnival represented the fake king who ruled the country during carnival and was sacrificed once the festival was over. So the ugly king of the carnival represented a fake king, a so-called fake king, who ruled the country during carnival and was sacrificed once the festivity was over. So you were allowed to have ultimate power while the carnival was ongoing, and then you were killed. Apparently you're sacrificed. After Carnival Tuesday, we have Ash Wednesday, which is when Jews cover their body in ashes, tore their clothes apart, and ate matzo, unleavened bread. Again, we have to remember that Yeshua was breaking a lot of the Jewish traditions, but he was keeping to the Torah. Judaism sees Yeshua as the destroyer of Judaism. That says a little, doesn't it? And he was breaking all that man-made. We see that in the New Testament. Just think about all the things that hasn't been written down. He was just. It's like every single chance Yeshua had. It seems he was breaking the leaders and the heads of the Jewish. He was breaking all their traditions. He was pissing them off. Literally pissing them off, and they were very, very angry. That he was breaking these, Anyway, so after Carnival Tuesday, we have Ash Wednesday, which is when Jews covered their bodies in ashes, tore their clothes apart, and ate matzo, unleavened bread, as penitence during 40-day period that ended with Easter. And again, Easter is not biblical; it's pagan. And they even call it Easter, so you shouldn't even be, you already have Easter, going back to Ishtar. Anyway, when this, and you can just see the paganism there as well, right? All these egg-laying rabbits, chocolate things and all that. Anyway, when this period was over, they killed a lamb and ate it all the same day. This Jewish tradition, as well as many others, became part of the Catholic ritual. These were sacred festivals for the Hebrew people because they were part of their traditions. Have to be careful. Careful with traditions, Jesus may very well have participated in these rituals because he was a Jew. No. This guy is totally wrong in regards to that. Yeshua was participating in the festivals found in the Torah. That's what we have. He was breaking all the man-made stupidity, and traditions, man-made, made up bullshit, So I absolutely do not think that this is... Anyway, so I think that's absolutely wrong, when he says that Jesus may very well have participated in these rituals because he was a Jew. No, I don't think so. However, what sense would it make for pagan peoples to participate in these celebrations? ? Let's not forget that Shaul, that's Paul, was not Jewish, and that let's not forget that Paul was not Jewish, and that he took on the title of the Apostle of the Gentiles, was not Jewish. According to himself, he was Jewish. So that's wrong as well. Meaning apostle of those who aren't Jewish. But again, Yeshua said to all the disciples to go out in the nations and teach them all things that I've taught you, and so forward, and proclaim the good news and all that. So yeah. Anyway, therefore, why should we, who are non-Jewish pagan individuals, participate in this type of celebrations? Likewise, a large number of Mithraic symbols and rituals are present today in Catholicism. Catholicism is again, go back to the Bible. Again, there's a lot of things, out there and this and that and all that. Just go back to the Bible, the first 5 books of Moses, and use that as a measurement, okay? Because that is where the festivals of Jehovah is. And that's the measurement that we measure what we have of festivals, for example. And if we should keep Sunday or the Sabbath, or Saturday, that's the Bible, anyway. So see here. Catholicism is the continuation of Mithraism, he says, as evidenced by the Phrygian cap, which is the tiara worn by the Pope, cardinals, and I wonder if he's making a mistake here. I pushed something that. Did I lose it? There we go. But the tiara is the crown. I think this guy might, there might be some information that is useful, and but I think he might have some problems here. Tiara, that's the triune tyrant, isn't it? Sorry, let's see, Poop. Let's see here. Yeah. I think he has something wrong here, because I think he might be thinking of the cap. I'm not sure, but at least there's absolutely some problems in that book. We already, some of the things that I could discern at least is, so I have to be careful here. Catholicism is the continuation of Mithraism as evidenced by the Phrygian cap, which is the tiara worn by the Pope. Again, I will see if he might have made a mistake in regards of. Really have to be careful sometime. Phrygian cap. Let's see what that would be. If we search on Google here. Phrygian cap. Okay, he talks about the red cap. But that's not the tire. He's totally off. Actually, it's interesting that here we get an image of a gnome actually in a red Phrygia, which apparently is said to be whatever. Again, pagan traditions going this way and that way and so forward, and we're not closing down. We still have some Jews. So again, pagan traditions going this way and that way and all that, and seems like in regards of the French Revolution, they also used this hat. But anyway, I think he's this guy. The information is not so good. Multiple errors already. I'm not sure what this guy is. And apparently he's an MD. Apparently, that wrote this. He is by Jesus Humberto in so I guess he's a Spanish guy or something like that. One of these, yeah. So that something is totally wrong here. That's for sure. He says it, which is the tiara worn by the Pope, cardinals and bishops doing solemn ceremonies. But I think he's mixing things together here, because he says this cap is still known as the mitre, which alludes to Mithra. I think he's talking about the cap, Let's search on mitre. I don't know what. Maybe the translation has gone totally. Something is terrible wrong in that. That's for sure. No, the mitre. That's the hat of the. Okay. So he's talking about the hats, maybe. The hats of the headgear of a mitre, a Mithra. I wouldn't use his source. You know, I would I would look into some other places to find information. This doesn't seem to be good. Yeah, the Mithra would be, it's like three different things that is put into the same sentence. You know, that seems kind of weird. You know, of course this is red. You know, one of them is red here. Where they have this red thing on, but as far as I can see, it seems like he's mixing three different things together here. You know, this cap is still known as Mithra, which alludes to Mithra, the deity. The name of this cap remains almost unchanged. All of this has made me question the entire structure of the Catholic Church. But as I mentioned earlier, this is nothing but my personal belief, and I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything. Each person is free to think and believe whatever they think is best. If anyone wishes to find the truth, they must do so through their own means. But there's absolutely a lot of problems here in this, what I've written, you know. He absolutely have multiple problems here. Multiple problems in regards to this, as far as I can see. So, yeah, that's not a good source. I need to find some other sources to look into what, you know, because I've seen other sources talk about that there are some Mithran things in you know, so I'll have to check what they, you know, what they talk about. See if I can find some more valid information in the lexicon, for example, or other places that seems to be, you know, that guy went totally off course, that's for sure. Anyway, we're nearly on zero battery, so yeah, I guess I'll be stopping to make the video. Of course, I could just change the battery and all that, but my nose needs a break anyway because I'm getting blockage in the nose when I speak for a longer period of time. And I've been speaking for a little over an hour. There's more information that is interesting on COG Writer that I would like to look more into and all that. But again, overall, just remember this, overall, all these things, all these bullshit things, in some sense, you don't need to know these things. You just need to go to the Bible. Now, of course, it's nice to see these lines from, you know, and know a little in regard, but it doesn't really, you can use your whole life on this. You can use your whole life on studying satanic things, pagan traditions and the connections points and all that. But in the end, it's the Bible that is our measurement. It is this book that is, I suppose Bibles, but this is the book. This is the book that is our guidance in regards to the first 5 books of Moses,